From Senegal to Sugar Hill, trace the bloodline. 100 years of brilliance through the color line. They thought the shackles broke but kept the mental chain. Langston penned the future while they legislated pain. Harlem's ballrooms birthed the cosmos in mahogany, while lynching trees still decorated southern botany. Josephine, Waker's pearls, and Garvey's Navy ships. Du Bois debating destiny with scholarship on his lips. The Renaissance was a renaissance, it was resistance, fam. Every trumpet blast from Armstrong was a battering ram. They gave us minstrel shows, we gave them Sora Neal. Turned depression into art, made the fabricator real. Cotton Club excluded us from tables every set. To form the Deanus Nightly, never free from the debt. But Bessie Smith could shatter glass, shatter cash, shatter lies. Every note she sang contained a revolution in the sky. Build temples from the rubble, make cathedrals from the scrubble. Turn the margins to the center, now they study what we scribble. We build temples from the rubble, every generation double. The inheritance of genius that they tried to keep us from. Fast forward through the decades, watch the pattern reassemble. Malcolm's speeches, Martin's marches, every voice begins to tremble to the earth until the structure shows its fractures. FBI was tracking every coon with every pastor, every actor. 40 acres never came but 40 minutes on a stage to reconvene your consciousness and channelize the rage. From bebop to hip-hop, the fool lines mathematical. Each generation weaponized the beautiful, the radical. They gave us Reagan out as crack and mass incarceration. We gave them Public Enemy and blueprints for liberation. The Harlem Renaissance never ended, just evolved its form. Every freestyle cipher is a brainstorm, is a storm. Where the children of the talented, the tenth that was prophesied, inherit the fire that the water couldn't wash aside. They tried to write us out the narrative. We offered all on text, 100 years of proof, and that we're destined. Where was next? Temples from the rubble, made cathedrals from the struggle. Turned the margins to the center, now they study what we scribble. We built temples from the rubble, every generation double. The inheritance of genius that they tried to keep us from.
All right. This is, and you are under the groove. Welcome, everybody. Happy Monday, all right? Hold on one second. A little too much sunlight up in here. Good to be here, man, I have to say. Yeah, long weekend, had a lot to do, man. Lot to do. But nonetheless, here I am, and there you are. Good to be back. Happy Monday to everybody. Peace and prosperity, each and every one of you. Let's get it in. Let's do how we do. Oh, shit. There we go. Oh, shit. There we go. Oh, shit. There we go. All right. Where the shit at? Trying to get situated, man. That's some last minute shit. With some snafu. All right. Yeah, man, here we are. I did yesterday something interesting went down. Well, it's always interesting when I do interviews. I interviewed our sister Cinda again, our mental hygienist. And oh man, we had a good session. We had a great session, great debate also. Now we are transitioning into that discussion or those discussions surrounding our sisters, you know what I mean? Because like I said, I have a thing about talking about sisters without a sister being present, you know what I'm saying? And just out of respect, I'd rather a sister be present because I think for me, you know, that it keeps shit in perspective, you know what I mean? Now I can go on a tangent all I want, say some shit that ain't got nothing to do with nothing. And, you know, there's no one there to correct me, you know what I mean? So I've always been real mindful of that. Yesterday occurred though, and like I said, it was a good session. She and I, we sat down, we chopped it up. And the last episode of what we did, we started, you know, we're touching bases, so to speak, with dealing with sisters, you know what I mean? What's going on with our queens, you know, our power structure, if you ask me. Anyway, the conversation went great. I'm gonna drop that content tomorrow. I'm gonna spread it out. I did 3 good episodes, each past 33 minutes. I'll spread them out Tuesday, maybe Friday, and then Monday. But in any respect, Sister Cindy came through and we hung out. We got it in, man. And we talked about, like I say, those things that we've always talked about, you know, what's going on psychologically as well as internally with brothers. We finished that, but that's not to say we won't discuss brothers more in the future. It's just that, you know, we think, you know, it's time. Let's start, you know, addressing sisters and that plight issue or experience, whatever it is that's going on with sisters. Let's see if we can get if we can't get to that, you know what I mean? And again, the fact that she's a mental hygienist and she can speak from a woman's perspective makes it all the better. I'm looking forward to it because I got some straight up shit I want to ask her, you know what I mean? And in fact, it got so good yesterday, we start having that discussion um, before we even actually, even touch bases or all those things that involve or concern sisters. We had this conversation though, and sad to say, we had turned off the camera, and that's when the best conversation, man. And we thought about it. We had a couple of visitors, had a visitor or two there, and say, "Man, are y'all recording this conversation?" And I thought about it, and I never do. You know what I mean? Well, I take that back. I have some content no one's ever seen before, right? And that's the truth. It's some good shit. It's some some OG brothers chopping it up. Me and other people chopping it up on some real shit. No one's ever seen it before. So I'm thinking about hooking up a Patreon account and doing it like that, and then in that way, we can generate some type of some funds, get some shit going to help the podcast to do more things for the podcast, and not necessarily line my pockets. But I should have recorded everything yesterday because, like I said, that conversation went there, respectfully. It went to the high levels, what I'm saying, of dialogue between a man and a woman, in the sense of what's really going on in our community, what's going on in the family, what's going on with the sisters, what's going on with the brothers. It was deep. It was deep, to say the least. But wait a minute. Maybe there is some of that. I'm not quite sure. I'm gonna look at it, and if it is, I'm still gonna extract it from the main body and put it to the side, man, and maybe just give it to the RGC. You know what I mean? Give it to the RGC, and we do it like that. It'll be to the public. Fuck it. Let me put it like that. But I do have content I've never shown anybody, and that is some straight gems. You know what I mean? I've always just said, okay, I'm gonna keep this to myself, and for the most part, some of it would never get out, you know what I mean? But then there's a lot of it that I could actually, filter out to you guys and let you guys see how the conversation was going when we weren't necessarily recording, you know what I mean? Some tight shit, man. Some tight shit. But anyway, Cindy and I, we chopped it up. And one of the discussions that I was left with after the fact was, okay, I was trying to make a point from a man's perspective, from my perspective, you know what I mean? I see sisters in a different light as opposed to how most brothers see sisters. A lot of brothers see sisters as being subservient, you know what I mean? Being beneath the man. My understanding is it wasn't really like that until uh, uh, until men took over the system. Paternalistic, you know what I mean? Ideologies and shit were put in place, and then before you know it, men were running everything. From what I've read, what I've learned, and then also internally, what I understand is that shouldn't be the case. I've never subscribed to that per se. I've seen the strength of women. I know that there's a strength there that men can't even muster. You know what I mean? So, and for that reason, and because of that, I've always put women first. In that respect, I think they are the strongest of the species. A whole lot they can do that we can't do. And we tend to just say the muscle. We talk about our muscle and how we can, overpower some, but it's bigger than that. And this was our conversation. Also, it's the fact that what was most impressing on that conversation yesterday between she and I was that I was saying to a great extent that are leaders, and I think women are the leaders. You know what I mean? I just do. I know a lot of brothers ain't gonna agree with that, but that's fine. But to a great extent, our leaders have given up on the family as much as or as well as the community, the causes. If you look at what's happening now today in society, where we're supposed to be on code, and there's this thing where a lot of our queens, our sisters, our mothers, our goddesses are not on code. because they say, hey man, I don't care about none of that. I'm going to get my nail done, I'm going to get my hair done, the hell with y'all, da da da. So that type of thing is taking place. There's a lot of selfishness, things of that nature, where our sisters, I don't know, maybe, they've just grown tired. They're tired, man, of carrying this weight. And they're like, hey, man, I'm doing me. I don't care. Maybe that's it. I don't know. But our conversation went back. I took her back some decades, and I tried to explain to her how all this came to be, especially in our community, where our sisters actually played, our mothers, our queens, actually played a role in helping the establishment to dismantle the family structure from the inside out. And it was done first. We have to accept or acknowledge or just go back and do the history, do the lessons and find out that the first thing they did was took jobs from the men. They took the jobs. They literally just took the jobs, especially those skilled jobs that our brothers, our fathers knew how to do, expertly. They were, specialists in this shit. They removed those jobs, sent them somewhere else far away, boom. So it left brothers, without employment. And when you're in a situation like that, as most of us know, what do? You turn to crime for the most part because you have an obligation to feed your family. And in that process, a lot of our brothers lost their way. Let's admit that happened. Now, as a result of removing the jobs that black men held, they help provide for the family and whatnot, the county come right behind them. Backdoor, they went to the woman and say, we have welfare. But the only way you can get this is if you do this. That's not say all our sisters did it, but most of them say, okay, yeah, give me that money. I ain't got to let them in the door. Or give me that money. I'm going to find a way to get them in the door, keep them in the house, regardless. Damn what y'all say, That happened, either or. But for the most part, the assistance was there in terms of the government dismantling the family structure. Again, it started with black men. They took the jobs and boot. A lot of black men turned to the bottle. They turned to crime. They turned to drugs, whatnot, Then they brought in welfare. And as a result of that, there was this promise from sisters that, okay, he can't stay here. He's the father or whatnot, but he can't be here. He won't be here. Shit of that, things of that nature. And not only that, but as a result of receiving welfare, we have to admit that a lot of our sisters they found that convenient. They became accustomed to receiving welfare. There's no other way to put it, because we know for a fact a lot of our sisters stayed on welfare for years and years and years and years and years and years and years. Like they pretty much say, okay, well, I'll depend on you, master, and you take care of me. I'll just sit here at home and whatever I'm doing as long as you continue to pay me. There may have been a job on the side the county didn't know about, a little side hustle, whatever. But the fact of the matter is they remained on those welfare lines, ranks of welfare. That's just a fact, And as a result, there's a tendency to think that they became lazy, some of them. They found this convenient, a lot of them. And also in the process, but then that's just one aspect of how the government was assisted in dismantling the black family. Then, all these other ideologies start coming into play, feminism and all this shit, black women saying that I'm independent of black men, but dependent on the government, all kind of old wishy-washy shit, took place. And that was most of the conversation. Going through my feeds today, do what I do every day, going researching, content and stuff. I found something very, very interesting. So I want to play that first. Before I do, as always, y'all know to get out, man. Please like, share, follow, comment, and subscribe to Under the Groove Podcast. Y'all know what it is, man. This is touching bases with the people. We do this every Monday through Friday. I missed last Friday, and now and then I might miss a day, but I'm here for the most part. From 6:15 to 8:15, whatever. You know what I mean? This is what we do. But come on in, man. Like and share, you guys. Like and share. For you, those of you Lone Wolf and all you haven't subscribed, go and do that. Hit that subscribe button, man. Become a part of this Get Out in order to help us build this platform up, this channel up, to get the message out. And the message is simple. It's real simple. It's about positivity and productivity. It's about unity and love, respect for the people. That's it. I don't care where you're from. None of that matters. Where I'm from don't matter. You know what I mean? What matters is whether or not we're going to get it together in order for us to elevate. In order for us to elevate together, separately, yeah, they allow that from time to time. You got individuals, we all know who they are. Separately, they elevate, you know. But what's a man who elevates without his people? You know what I'm saying? Or a woman, you know. So there that is, man. I've said enough in that respect. I'm gonna drop this clip because, like I said, man, this clip is very, very it's paramount. It's very important we get it. And again, I'm not respectfully, I'm dropping this clip. Now, whether you agree with it or not is something totally different. You can come in the comments and let me know where you stand on it. Enough said with that. Let me jump in here right quick, man. Send these shots out to our people, man. All right. See you, Queen Nzinga. Peace and blessings, RGC. It's a brand new week and another opportunity to move forward with purpose. Leave behind what didn't work last week and focus on what you can build today. Be one. Black first. Appreciate that, Queen Nzinga. All right. Peace, bub. This is from 5 Deuce Lone Wolf. Appreciate you up in this get out, Lone Wolf. Yeah. Peace right back to you. Peace and prosperity to you and your fam. Hey, man. Trying to remember. Been a while since I've seen you up in here, but nonetheless, thank you for showing up and supporting this get down, bro. Appreciate that. All right. All love and respect. Raymond Skull, what it do, homie? You already know how it go, man. Peace, prosperity to you and your fam. Love, man, and respect to all the raves from Pasadena to Inglewood to LA, man. All family, man. And we tend to think, make everything be everything with you and your people, man. Family first, man. Always. You up in there, peace and blessings, bub. Hopefully all is great with you and your family. Respect to the brothers and sisters in your community. Condolences to Box 3. Shout out to the RGC B1 equals Black first. Yeah, we did that last week, Roscoe. Sad work, right? Ain't that something, right? Our condolences again to Box, to his family, man, his loved ones, you know what I mean? This is some crazy work, man. This is some crazy work. I'm gonna leave it at that. My 2 cents in that regard, not gonna be helpful at all. You know what I mean? I just gotta say, man, this mentality, this gang shit or whatever it is that we're involved in is detrimental, man. It's detrimental, and before we know it, man, this stuff we call ourselves being a part of, we're going to find that it's going to be imploding on itself. All right. So that is. All right. Again, condolences to his family, man. Rest well, bro. Rest well. All right, Chris, I see you up in here, man. You said they also gave a lot of jobs to Latinos. Yeah, this is the transition. See, and I'm telling y'all, it was a transition, consciously done. And see, there's a lot to this. There's a lot of shit to this that we don't know was put into effect around the same time. There were moves being made to not just exit out the workforce, but also to keep us separated and divided. Make sure that we don't meet up with our brothers across the Atlantic and put our ideology, our minds together and unify and build a political as well as economical power structure here in the United States as well as there in Africa. Help them, actually be a part of this Pan-Africanism, where we're trying to see the development and the empowerment of the people. You know what I mean? So all this shit was put into effect, going to a pro, all this shit, Hoover and the FBI. I even found some stuff where Jimmy Carter, 1987, he had I'll tell you the name of it in a minute, but it was also this program put together by think tanks to make sure that blacks here didn't unify, come together so that they wouldn't unify and come together with the brothers over there. It's a whole lot of shit, man, that we don't know about went on that is still going on to this day. I just have to say that. So we look around us and we see, more and more of our people are being forced out of the workforce from the federal level on down. All right. This is a concerted effort with the feds, with the state, the city, the county, and private industries and companies. This is all done as a means to, I think, to just knock us out the workforce. You know what I mean? And also, there's this thing about our collective bargaining of our money, how we spend money. We don't understand that it's a leverage we have. They do better than us, and that's always been a threat as well. I got something on that as well. See, all this shit, it's lined up. It's actually in order. They put their ducks in a row. They put their ducks in a row. This, hey, the horse with them is always before the cart. You know what I mean? And this is how their systems work. So I have some clips. I got them in the sequence I think they need to be in. But by the same token, each and every one of them need to be, observed, be listened to, man. Just listen to them. All right. Let me make sure they're in the right perspective. This is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna play this one first, and the one I got after that, I'll play that next. Wait a minute. Okay, make sure. Yeah, that's what we do. All right. So yeah. Let's go up in here, man. Let's drop this. Hold on. But anyway, hey Raymond, I appreciate you up in here, bro. Yeah, Chris, you ain't lying, man. They also, this is what they do to give a lot of jobs to Latinos. It's cheaper labor. And also the result is inferior. Let's be 100. Anybody that know what they know after dealing with, the Basque, demographic, when we say, the names we be using, man, are off. The more, I research shit, the more I get, the more I come to overstand, you know what I mean? But the labor is cheaper. The work is inferior, straight up, you know what I mean? And there's also a danger element attached to, these Basque people. A lot of them be, inebriated on the job. I know this for a fact. I working around granite, marble, what I'm saying, shit like that, porcelain, real heavy material. Hey man, dealing with cranes and shit, I learned that maybe 80% of the individuals I work with, like I'll say 75, all right, are inebriated or high. Straight up. I know this for a fact. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, there's all kind of stuff going on, but that's what them people rather have, and they rather have it because I think that they realize when it comes to us, we're not taking no shorts, man. You know what I mean? We're not taking no shorts. We're not going to take minimum wage for very long or anything else. And once we know that the business, be it private, corporate, be it federal, with it, and they making money, we gotta make money too. And I think that's part of the problem with a lot of them. Say, okay, y'all want too much. Really? Really? One thing for sure, you're gonna get professional work. You gotta pay for it. You're gonna have to pay for it. And again, we see this happening, man. Great observation, Chris, because that is the truth. B60, what's up, man? Greetings and salutations to you, Bub, and the RGCB1, man. Appreciate you up in here. Black first, of course. Of course, man. Peace, prosperity, you and yours, bro. Good to see you. Chris, you say, man, the thing to black people refuse to be butlers and maids and handymen. Latinos don't have an issue doing these things, which gave them a foothold in society. Yes and no. The fact of the matter is they had already looked at the situation. They looked at the playing field and they say, man, this, again, you got to look at what precipitated all this. Where was, let's say, a threat was perceived by them. We're the threat. We are the threat. Fact of the matter is most of them know better than we do. Once we see something, we figure, oh, that's nothing to us. Let's be real. Yeah, and some of us are quicker than others grasping or understanding or overstanding what it takes to do something and do it right as well. Give your best at it. We're masters in that, right? So it's not like, they're gonna, They know, man, anything we get into, anything we put our hands on, we lock our minds upon, we master. That's a threat. Think about that. That's a threat. And so a lot of things have had to been put in place to make sure that this ascension, this progress doesn't meet the standard they know we're capable of meeting. So they throw wrenches into the works, stop a whole lot of stuff, to hold it, break it down. And then, and in the interim or right behind all that, they bring in, again, inferior labor, inferior, inferiority, because that's not going to be a threat. Historically, they have not the threat we pose, you know what I mean? That's what we fail to realize. We fail to see it how they see us. That's the problem. We're not talking about the so-called Latino or Mexicans. We're talking about white supremacy structure. We fail to see it how they see it, especially now. This is the time when we want to see something through their lens. It's when we should. But we don't do that, sometimes, man, we just, no, man, we are a threat. We are a threat. All right. Let me put it to you like that. But yeah, man, anybody we see in society that's above us, society, in terms of society, economics, education, employment, shit like that. It's a reason for that. It's a reason for that, Black women here in this country are the most educated, or not only that, but in this demographic of Black women hold the most degrees in education than anybody. And yet, most of our sisters don't even work to their level of expertise and knowledge. Why? See, a degree nowadays don't mean jack, especially if you're Black. If you're Black, that's all the more reason not to let you in the door. Unless they can control you wholly. If they can't control you wholly, then you're not, hey, you may get in the door, but you won't rise above ground level. You know what I mean? There won't be a ladder for you to climb. That glass ceiling will be, you ain't got to go high to encounter that glass ceiling. That's just, that's the way it is. They perceive the threat to be exactly what it is to them, a threat to their stability and their superiority. Kufu, what it do, man? You said, let's reflect on the situation we Black peoples on earth are going through. Speak truth to power, bro. I'm telling you guys, well, I'm not telling nobody nothing. I'm just speaking my mind, man. And most of you know, I know what you know what we know. Hey, man, we know we going through some shit, right? But at the same time, we also know we got, again, let me get to the point. We got people working against this shit through an off code. That's going to be a problem. That's going to be a problem. That's going to be a problem, man. And I don't think a lot of us really realize how much so. Anytime we have somebody that's a part of this get down that's going through the same exact things we're going through and yet continue to, push the BS that's making this shit worse, at some point we got to start blaming them. We have to start looking at how the problem continues to augment, becomes larger and bigger. That's us. That's our doing. We're not pointing our fingers at each other like we should. We're talking about the man. We're talking about the Asian, the Chinese, the Mexicans, and fuck all that, man. Fuck all that. We have to start addressing us, man. All right, that's all I got to say on that. What it do, Antonio? Good to see you up in here. Love, homie, and salute right back, as always. Yeah, man. That's what it is, bro. That's what it is. So word for the day, Rakufu, is consilience. All right. Convergence or jumping together of independent facts, proofs, or principles to form a unified, consistent conclusion. The court accepted the theory because of the consilience, I hope I'm saying that right, yeah, of the scientific data, physical evidence, and eyewitness testimony. All right. Rod Kufu also say, man, Garvey's African Redemption was a black nationalist program aimed at building independent black power. W.E.D. Du Bois said Pan-Africanism was initially a political and diplomatic movement aimed at securing rights, reform, and eventual self-government for African peoples. I got something to say about that in a little bit. I won't say it now. I'm going to stay on course. All right, Lisa Moore, good to see you up in here, Queen Sister. All right, Grand Rising Kings and Queens, B1, Black First. Good to see you, sister. Rakufa said, I believe both combined was a lot more to the point of what we need. Queen Nzinga says, dangerous, aggressive, criminal. These labels aren't earned. They are assigned, embedded in the collective consciousness of a world that sees blackness as a threat rather than a birthright of strength, or the anointing, or the kiss, or the power of the energy that is God, Most High. You know what I mean? It is not looked at as it should be. It's resented, I think, and I think we had this conversation because it's not them. There's a resentment that's being played out, and they use it as racism. But I think the resentment is based upon the fact that they wish it was them. Because there's no other reason for them to have the animosity and hatred towards us other than that. They wish it was them. Because, as a people, we've done nothing to anyone, right? And if their thing is, oh, you're so violent, you're this, and you're aggressive, yeah, with them, that ain't towards y'all. Mostly towards our own, like other demographics and ethnicities. When you talk about violence in society, if you look at it, it sticks to its ethnicity. It very rarely spills over unless you got some cuckoo, who wants to prove a point because, you think white supremacy has that right to, do what they do. But hey, man, technically, everybody does that to their own people, But everybody, you don't see everybody trying to be. Everybody don't want to be Asian. Everybody don't want to be Mexican. Everybody don't want to be, Jewish. Everybody don't want to be white. But mostly everybody has some affinity in some form or another for melanated skin, for the kiss of, that God, that God blessing. You know what I mean? That's the only way I can see it. The only way I can see it. That resentment is because they haven't been chosen. They weren't chosen. So the attitudes, behavior is that of a jealous and of envious person. That's it. Envious people. That's it. I have to say that maybe some of us melanated of the melanated persuasion want to be some other than what they are. I get it. A lot of pressure here, a lot of pressure, a lot of negative feeding, indoctrinating and shit like that, conditioning of self and people. So, there are a few of us want to be anything other than what we are, no doubt. But there are more of them wanting to be us, had this kiss of life, to be kissed by the sun, blessed by, that energy that is, you know what I mean? Come on, that's where it comes from. That's my saying on that. All right, let me move on. I can go all day with that one, bro. Trust me. Appreciate that, Queen Nzinga. Lisa Moore said, Grand Rising, Kings and Queens. Blessings to you, brother Bub and RGC family. Peace and love. Black first. All day, every day, y'all. All right, Henry, what's going on? Peace and blessings, brother Bub and chat. Hopefully, or hope everyone is doing well today. Everything is everything from this end. Like I say, here I am and there you are, man. I think that's a good look. Great combination. Now, Queen Nzinga one more said, our resilience is a threat to these people. It's sad, and this burden follows us throughout our lives. Now, I was having a conversation, and you know, we touched on a little bit of everything, but one statement she made, I'm not necessarily in agreement with, but that was some to the effect of generational curses and things of that nature. You know what I mean? Um, I don't know if I fully agree with any of that. I just don't. I know though that a lot of behavior that we exhibit, that we tend to partake in, is learned. Is learned, and who do we learn it from? We learned it from some destructive people, a destructive force, a destructive energy. Facts. Facts. You know, it's learned. So I'm saying that to say anything that you can learn, you can unlearn. The key to that is replacing that with some knowledge that is greater than, you know what I mean? That is thought provoking, thought consuming, strong enough to push that out in order to take its place. So I don't necessarily buy into this thing of generational curses and da 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 da. I just don't. I'm willing to have that conversation with anybody, and I can give you a little more in-depth reasoning as to why. All right. That being said, I'm gonna move on. But I appreciate seeing you up in here, Henry. And again, Queen Nzinga said, our resilience is a threat to these people. It's sad, and this burden follows us throughout our lives, and that's why I make that statement about this burden. And I don't know, I even the phrase, the word burden, you want to think about. You have to carry this, man, with not some form or a little bit. You have to carry this with dignity, period, point blank. It can't be, we can't begin to look at our blackness as a burden. And I don't mean to say that that's what Queen Nzinga was saying, you know, the burden of what people say and do to us. I think, again, we shouldn't view it as such. It's not our burden. Carrying blackness, being melanated is not a burden. We just been taught that it is. The burden's not ours to bear. The burden is theirs. And we see how they handle it. We see how they are unable to deal with it. So they're burdened with our blackness every day. They want to make like, and then a lot of us tend to start thinking like, oh, it's a burden to deal with these people every day. Nah, man, that ain't shit. This is what we were talking about last week, about not focusing on the issues other people have about us because it's a distraction. Our melanin is not a burden. And then anything anybody got an issue with regarding our melanin, that's their issue, bro. Again, there's so much at play to where so many things and things have been said and done to the point where we're automatically distracted by them. And as a result, we start to carry this weight. There's ways around everything, man. For every problem, there is a solution. This much we got to know as a people. So, yeah, I get the statement. I get it. I get it. But again, I think initially it's their burden. This is something they can't handle. The weight of our melanin, our blackness, man, is weighing them down. And then, man, it's so bad with them that it begins to weigh on us. We begin to see things and deal with things, and say things that are reflective of what the fuck they going through. Hey, man, we are in battle. We are real battle going on. I'm gonna say that, and then hey, don't want to say too much, but appreciate it. Appreciate that again, Queen Nzinga, as always thoughtful, always intelligent, and wise. All right, Kenny Adams say, man, yo, brother, been a minute. Life's good, I hope. Kenny Adams, man, been a minute, but look, better late than never, man. Here you are. It's all good, man. It's all good. You know, you're here for this right now, this space and time. What is there to talk about, bro? Other than what we're gonna discuss, all right? So hey, ain't no issue. You're amongst the, family. This is RGC. Welcome back. Welcome home. Let's get it in like we do, bro. All love. Again, like, share, follow, comment, and subscribe. Kenny, are you subscribed? Go in there and hit that subscribe button, man. Matter of fact, share this with somebody. Share this channel with somebody, bro. All right, let's get that out there. Lonzo, what it do, man? Zoe is in the house. He say Pan-Africanism was started by the CIA, and the Masonic cult was started by the satanic worshipers. All right, Lonzo going to say peace to the RGC, and Bub, you are yours, you and yours. I hope everyone in your family are well. Yeah, we're all doing good, bro, and we extend that right back to you. Peace and prosperity, you and your fam. May everything be everything on that end, bro. Good to see you hanging out. CEO, what it do, man? Yo, yo. Yo, yo. Is you subscribed, CEO? All right, bro. Good to see you back again, all right? Real spit. Real spit. Jeremy, what it do? Long time. And there's another one. Yeah, I know. I don't forget names, man. Especially when I see them, Especially when I see them. You say, man, all right, first time checking you out in months. You change your platform. I see. Absolutely. I think it was inevitable. Black people are waking up, bro. I can say that. And I can speak for myself. You know what I mean? I'm grateful, man, to be in this position that I'm in, man. I don't compare myself with no other channel or platform, man. What I did know coming into this, it wasn't going to be, and I just told this story last week. When I first started this channel, I knew for a lot of loved ones, it turning out the way it is wasn't going to be there was not going to be satisfaction for them because it wasn't going to be what a lot of loved ones thought it was. Oh, we got a channel now for the set, that was never my intent. Truth to power, man. And if you go to the first episodes, they talk about, offing one another and, being disrespectful, In fact, after every interview, I asked a pertinent question, 4 of them, a series of them. You know what I mean? And if you guys haven't seen them, go back and look at the ending of every one of them episodes. I asked a specific question, a 4-part question. You don't see that on other channels, but that was the indication, or it should have been the indication to anybody who was watching. Oh, this ain't gonna be your run of the mill, reactionary shit or whatever. You know what I mean? It was not that from the jump. But yeah, man, done some, rearranging. I didn't want that symbolism up there like that anymore. It's detrimental, man. It's helping nobody. Again, we don't own none of this stuff, man, and that's a bad look. We talk as though we run shit. We don't even run our own lives. So hey, all right, yeah, changes had to be made, brother, and I appreciate that you recognize that. So hey, welcome back, bro. Welcome back. Good to see you back. My bad, CEO. Day one. Yeah, Jeremy, welcome back, man. Everybody like the live, man. Yeah, appreciate that. Go on in there, y'all. Hit that like button and share. You say Marcus Garvey started Pan-Africanism. That's CEO, man, dropping that. Lonzo said it also, and yes, CEO, I'm day one subscriber. Appreciate you for that. Queen and Zinga's jumping up in here again. Oh, man, hot and heavy tonight. Respectfully, I say that, all right? Our blackness is definitely not a burden for us. It's important to recognize that it's important to recognize that those who are not black holds negative views regarding us. And again, that's their burden. Imagine that, man, that they got to live a life every day of it where they have to there's something bothering them about us. Make that make sense. And they supposedly, for the most part, half of them have everything they want. How are we then an issue? It makes no sense, man. It's only sense you can make of it is that, oh shit, they're jealous. They're envious. You know? And we all are coming to learn that they want our skin. They want the God gene. They want the power. They want it. A lot of them might say that because of y'all misusing it. You know, y'all are abusing the power. You know, I don't know, man. That's a possibility, you know. And it won't be far from the truth. You know, if any of them said that, but this is their burden. They don't carry that shit well. They don't even know how to manage it on their shoulders. They're wishy-washy, untrustworthy, envious, jealous people, man. And that should be enough for us to know, okay, you know what? Let them be how we got to get our shit together, man. That right there some bullshit. And we wasting our time on it. I got something for all that though. And I keep the comments. I love you guys for the comments, man. And the comments, one thing about them, they will have me stuck, you know, because there's a conversation, there's a dialogue, there's an exchange in everyone. You know, that's just my take on it, you know. All right, what I'm going to do though. All right, right quick. Here we say, Brother Bub, did you see the white lady who's going viral for a video titled "Why White Folk Dislike Black People"? Truth is, she really didn't say anything we didn't already know, especially this group. Ain't that something? Right? And you know, they would think that they're, you know, they are saying shit literally to us that we have no understanding of. Little do they know they're preaching to the choir. You know, ain't even the real, you shouldn't even be up there at the pulpit. You know, and if what you're saying is supposedly in support of, you know, the melanated persuasion, then what you supposed to be doing is dealing with yours, which you ain't got to direct nothing to us. You know, all that should be directed to them. You know who to be the way they are. We know all this shit, man. A to Z, B, Z back to A. You know what I mean? We know the ins and outs of every bit of this shit. So I'm not always or hardly impressed when I get when some of them come up and say something worth saying. You know what I mean? I respect it, but I'm always saying, you know, oh shit, well, I know 10, 20 brothers and sisters said that and more. You know what I mean? So yeah, I hear you, bro. I did, in fact, I saw it and I kept going. You know, I kept going. Like I say, when it comes to them speaking, there's only really 3, maybe 4 I'll listen to. You know, maybe 4 that I'll listen to. And she wasn't one. You know, she wasn't one. So yeah, you know, but more power to her. Maybe, you know, she'll reach some of hers. No, I don't know, shit. Rakufu said, man, I believe that the CIA had a gun in the Pan-African movement versus Garveyism, but a real God King warrior knows how to take the good out of anything and leave the rest. Mm-hmm. Chris say, Bub, the war in Iran is heating up. Hey, all right. Trump needs all the young people with tattoos on their faces and necks to report to the nearest Pentagon for recruitment ASAP. Oh yeah. See, look. Oh man. So this is something I talk to my wife about this all the time. I know I bore her. You know, I know you. She all right, baby. That's the hour that. Now let me go about my business. Look, man. This is a situation. There's no off ramp for this cat. You know what I mean? They're gonna find themselves in a situation, and true enough, as you see, more and more of them are dying. And they're hiding the numbers. That's what they're gonna do. You know, that those are tactics. They do that. Both sides do it. But the shit it's gotta get, they're either gonna submit and say, all right, you know, we're gonna leave y'all alone, or you gotta put boots on the ground. And I'm telling you, like, you know, they know that it's inevitable. But that's when the real massacre is gonna take place. But in order to have the numbers to go up in there, 90 million people, you know, who more than half are willing to fight, all right, they're going to need numbers over here. And yeah, you're right. The first ones they're coming after, and the young brothers and sisters don't even see it coming. They don't even see it coming, man. They coming to get them one way or another. You're going to serve us in some way. In some way. Right now, we don't need, we got enough of y'all out in these streets causing havoc and being just fools and foolish about your behavior. Okay, but the other half of y'all, we're going to come get y'all because we need y'all for fodder. For fodder. That's what they're going to be, man. Fodder. And I was saying quick, fat, and hurry. If any of y'all got any sense and they come for y'all, well, the new law already passed. They got you in the books anyway. Once you turn, I think it's 18 or is it 21? Anyway, that draft, they do that. The draft on paper, they do that now. They don't leave it up to that individual reaching that certain age and going to his nearest post office or whatever and registering. They don't need, we know who you are and where you are. We're going to get you ourselves, But I've always said, and I've been saying, if that should ever come to fruition, where they're coming to say, hey, Uncle Sam needs you, you mugs better start running and hiding, or hey, fighting right here against this thing that's against you before you allow them to ship you across the water to fight for some shit that you ain't getting nothing for anyway. I'm just saying. Let's move on. Yeah, that thing heating up. Let me go up in here, man. All right, so look, this is what I got for you. And again, man, when we're talking about this fight, we're talking about this struggle, being on cold. We're talking about who our warriors are. And brothers, let's get this out of our head that we are the top, we're the elite of the warrior class. We aren't. Get rid of that chauvinistic mindset, man. Get rid of that. Stop seeing it like that. Because our warriors come in both genders, man. And we're both great at what we do. Same way a man learns how to defend himself, a sister has that same opportunity, that same ability to grasp, to learn, to elevate, to evolve. Never count them out, man. Because we're going to need their greatness as well as their strength and leadership. Trust and know that. So, hey, it is what it is. That being said, we do have this reality we're confronted with where a lot of our sisters, though, have allowed themselves to become this class of woman that is disgraceful, man. That is self-disrespecting, self-loathing, that has no idea of what self-worth is or what dignity is. And we're talking about mothers on down, man, even grandmothers, we see them all the time doing the shit they doing. And it's like, oh shit, what happened? So when we see it from the top, you got to know it then trickle down to the bottom. So we see our baby daughters, baby girls, 2, 3 years old. First thing they're teaching them is how to twerk, how to cuss, how to be precocious, disrespectful. That's not good, man. That's bad business for us, man. That's bad business. These are the creators, man. And what's been put in their systems, man, is detrimental to race, period. These are the ones that's raising most of our young brothers. All right. Let me drop this, man, right quick, man.
Most dysfunctional thing that is coming out of the Black community right now is the behavior of Black women and the behavior of their children. Black women have dismantled the core of the community, which is family and structure and stability. and replaced it with chaos and control and confusion. And they don't want to build with Black men, but have no problems aligning themselves with the government. Not only do they align themselves with the government, but they push all of the government's agendas, whether it's feminism, BLM, LGBTQ, welfare, whatever it is. If it's detrimental to the home, Black women will be behind it. Mind you, you can't correct them. They don't take accountability. They don't want any order. They just want to be in control. Everywhere they go, there is chaos. And literally every situation they touch turns toxic, literally. These are the women that are promoting Sexy Red, idolizing stripper culture. These are the twerkers that are in the restaurants. These are the women that are fighting on the cruises and in the airports and on the planes. And you know, they don't have any respect for anybody or any regard for anyone outside of themselves. It is pretty freaking disgusting. And the children are just being programmed to be repeat crash outs, for lack of better words. And this is why the Black men leave, and this is why the Black men don't deal with it, because it's not because of the children, it's because they refuse to deal with whatever that is. The most dysfunctional thing that is coming out of the Black.
All right. And agree with her or not, the reality is most of what she just described, actually, we see this. We see it, you know? And my thing is this. I think it's important for both genders in the Black community, the woman as much as the man, to carry the weight equally. And if something should come up where that's not possible because we know something is in the road blocking one aspect, you know, of our community as opposed to another, then there is supposed to be that support shifted over to, okay, like, boom, we're going to carry this. We're going to do this shit together regardless. That's just the way it should be. But things have played out in such a way where, again, a lot of us tend to, and let me be quite clear. It's not just women, you know what I mean? It's brothers too, but women are our base, man. Women, they are our creators, man. You know? They are the ones, man, that's going to bring about life. And this is how they're getting down. You know? This is how they're getting down, man. They're getting down in such a way where it's like, hey, man, everybody and everything, fuck you. They don't care. They have no integrity, no humility, no self-respect for the most part. Not all of them, but for the most part, it's easy to see. And they go from 0 to 100 in a second. Tend not to think, you know, tend not to, you know, rationalize, you know what I mean, situations, circumstances, you know, whatever. You know, 0 to 100, like right now. You know, and we're seeing this now amongst a lot of the young brothers, 0 to 100. Where they getting this shit from? You know, it's easy to say, okay, men do it too. Yeah, a lot of old brothers do this shit too. But much of this attitude is coming from the mother, the woman. And in our society, in our communities, let's be honest, that is the leader of the family for the most part, you know. And again, it's you know, it's really always been like that. It's just that, you know, through time, you know, things have changed. You know, society has changed, and it was done so because they took power and they said, no, we want to run this. We want to be at the helm of everything. You know, we want to keep women beneath us. Da, 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 da. You know how they go. But I say, man, something's wrong in that women have lost their way. Our sisters have lost their way. Most of them look like Cupid dolls. Cupid dolls, you know? All this slick back fake hair, these eyelashes, and these the paint, you know, just clownish looking and gaudy, just like there's really no more natural beauty from our sisters anymore. That's also, I think that also caters to, you know, what we see in terms of deterioration of the family, you know, of identity. I'm just saying, man, you know, it's all bad, man. It don't have to be like this. It's just, I think we're choosing this over what? We're choosing it for what? For what? You know, What's the end game and all and this shit we see happening? Grown ass mothers, women, and even grandmothers will stop in the middle of the street and twerk. Will twerk. Our sisters, man. You know, I'm not, look, man, it's just a whole lot, man. It's a whole lot. They got not just their asses out, their big stomachs out and shit. They got their breasts showing and just all kind of shit, man. You know, none of it makes sense, man. None of it makes sense, man. You know, it's detrimental. You know, it's like, you know, our sisters, our main, I think our core has given up. It may not be true, but I tend to think that our core has given up on us. And if that's the case, brothers, we're in trouble. We are in trouble. But we need them more than anything else. Without them, nothing. It's a wrap. But anyway, there's that. Now, here's another one I want to share, man, because I think this is also important. I actually should have played this one first, but I just had this in my mind, man. All right, now look. Check this out. Listen to what he's saying.
Living and their earning power has been increased tremendously, I would say, in the last 10 or 15 years. And they have a large amount of money to be spent now, and they spend it very, very fluently.
Now, right quick, for context, this was done in 1960. And he's speaking about the spending power of black. No, actually, he's going to tell you a lot more than that. He's going to talk about leverage that we had as a people coming out of Jim Crow. Was still actually, in a lot of ways, still involved in Jim Crow, but the leverage we had economically and how it affected them. And he said, man, in the last 15 years, it's been growing expeditiously. This is 1960, man. Here we are, 2026. And what they did back then, our people, we should be doing right now. But again, we have a lot of our people, they're not on code. You know what I mean? Or to them, it's about convenience or being convenient, something being convenient. And I'm telling you, like we were saying last week, nothing about our presence here has been convenient. It's not in the playbook. It's not scripted in the playbook where it says, well, black people will be convenient here. They'll live a prosperous, and happy life here. There'll be convenience for all that don't exist, man. But we tend to, I don't know. We don't just tend to think it. We've been told that, and for the most part, we've bought into that BS. All right, check it out though.
So the merchants, of course, was feeling the pinch because they were definitely not coming downtown to spend that money. The uptown streets were absolutely forsaken of any Negroes. Made it a point to go around to the different stores up and down Church Street. All in all, it was reaching some rather staggering and serious proportions.
This clip comes from a 1960 NBC News documentary called White Paper, Sit-In. The documentary covered the Nashville sit-in movement and the campaign to end segregation at the city's downtown businesses. By this point, civil rights leaders had expanded the movement beyond the lunch counters, encouraging Nashville's black community to boycott downtown stores that refused to desegregate. In this clip, white business owners described the financial impact of that boycott.
Well, the boycott pretty well killed business downtown. I'd say it was roughly 95% effective as far as a Negro citizen staying away from downtown area completely. For us, it was pretty unfortunate. The violence that had preceded the boycott kept the white people out of town, and then none of the Negroes were coming to town, and I sort of felt like the only customers we had left were the green people, and there aren't too many of them. So our business suffered, as I'm sure did everybody else's. We just didn't have any traffic for about a month there. It was pretty rough.
I talked to some people, and they were very fearful that it could get to very serious proportions here. Because, as I told you, as I mentioned, it's an emotional issue. And the rougher element, they are just looking for something to really get into the melee at all times. It's just a certain element that prevails in every city that they're looking for just some good opportunity to become involved in.
All right. And again, so we're talking about a time when our people were on cold. You know what I mean? They were on cold, man. They were doing some shit, man, that was astounding so-called government officials, you know, the so-called elites, the supremacy structure, you know, foundation. They were affected. That was 1960, man. We're in 2026. And for whatever reason, we don't understand that over $2 trillion could do damage in such a way to this country that we could pretty much go and say, okay, this is what we want. We'll start with the letter A first. That much leverage. But we got all this shit that's distracting us. Everybody's off code. Our sisters are acting the way they're acting. Our brothers are acting the way they're acting. No one is unified. You know, we can't even get brothers and sisters to come together about first initiating a situation where we're going to spend our dollars not with people that despise and hate us, but with each other. I guess a lot of us saying, well, shit, they hate me more than the Buddha heads. I ain't giving them that, what kind of shit is going on here? It's crazy work, man. It's crazy work, but all of this shit is connected. It's all connected. It's been going on for a long time. The change, I think, is that there are enough of us who have come into consciousness. You know what I mean? We are waking up and respect that, okay, whoa, wait a minute, man, this is some bullshit. Now is the time for us to, man, it's time to rise up. We've been doing this shit too long. That's the only saving grace, the gold lining in this shit, man. We're starting to wake up. Now, I don't know if, we're waking up in the numbers that we should be, or if we're waking up and we're waking up still divided and separate. We're using religion to keep us separated. We're using being a blood or crip or whatever. We're using economics. We're using education. You know what I'm saying? We're using politics against each other to stop us from getting to where the hell we supposed to be as a people. That's the problem. The divide and conquer shit, man, is so entrenched in our thinking that it affects, it touches everything we tend to think about doing or is doing. Everything. That's the problem. I got another one, man, and this one is pretty dang good also. No, I did her already. Did you? Boom. All right. Now, this is where I like it at. This is where it gets good at. This is where it gets good. And now listen to this right here, if you will. And, just something I caught in my feed. All right. Just something I found in my feed. Check it out. This is 1967. It's called The Incident.
Just wait, brothers and sisters. The next 100 years is gonna be a whole lot easier for us colored folk. All we got to do is sit and wait on the Lord, shout hallelujah.
No, you know he didn't say anything like that. But what he did say makes a whole lot more sense than that stuff you pulled down there in that change book.
Now, this is sister, though, talking to brother out of being about his business. And this is another problem we have, man. I see it all the time on social media where a brother or a sister ain't having no funny shit. And they go in immediately. Guess what a brother or sister do? A brother will jump in and grab the brother as the brother handling his business. But where was he when the white or whoever did what they did to the brother initially? When nowhere in the scene. Until a brother, all right, I'm done. I'm tired. Let me get it. Another brother and even sisters sometimes come and intervene. Oh no, you gonna go to jail. La 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 la. Sisters, you hear them screaming, oh no, that's enough. What you doing? Stop it, stop it. Part of the problem, man.
I ain't letting no white man walk on me.
Prove that, all right.
I ain't letting them walk on me. And that's why they hate my guts, and I hate them right back, all of them. In the Army, we used to sing Praise the Lord and pass the ammunition, and that's what we ought to be singing now. Not them hymns. We ought to hit them first, hit them hard, and re-educate them later. Not us, them.
Arnold. Things are so changing, and you know it.
Wow.
Not much, maybe, but these things take time. You've got to give them a chance.
Wait! That's what you're talking about, wait. Well, I got news for you, baby. We ain't got time to wait.
Yeah.
You can march, and you can picket, and you can legislate from here to hell and back. But you'll never see the day. We're in a war, baby. And when you're in a war, you gotta fight. When you want changes, you gotta spill blood. Any white man look at me cross-eyed, and he's got one-way ticket to the graveyard.
You don't mean that. You don't mean that, because they'd shoot you down.
Well, if I can take care of a few of them in the meantime, that's all I want. That's all I want. Just wait.
Yeah, that's crazy right there. All right, last one, man. This is something that's really happening, and y'all get a bar of this, man, and we can talk about it. But this is actually going on right here. This how serious the shit getting.
You don't know, here in the state of Mississippi, we have launched a movement called Operation No Way. And you may be asking me, what is Operation No Way? Well, I tell you, what is Operation No Way? We, the Black community, have decided to take matters into our own hands. As Black, brown, and African Americans here, we can no longer trust the government to handle things for us. We can no longer trust the law enforcement to do what is right. So we will take matters into our own hands to protect ourselves and our children in a legal way that's peaceable unto all. And that way is, right now, as we're speaking, 75% of the Black, brown, and African Americans here in the state of Mississippi that has a 21-year-old son or daughter or older that is eligible to receive a permit and license to carry a concealed gun or weapon here in the state. We're in the process of doing that right now. Right now, we're in the process of picking up our children from college campuses and starting paperwork as you and I are watching and talking in this video right now. As you and I are talking right now, this is what is taking place. Right now, Bass Pro is selling out of guns. Right now, Walmart is selling out of guns. Right now, the gun ranges are filled with people right now that's practicing, because we can no longer afford for our sons and daughters to go out unprotected. Not only do we believe in God and have faith in God and we walking right, we sure enough gonna walk armed this time. Not only will we have the shield of faith, the sword of the spirit, we're gonna have a gun on our hip, just to make sure as we're walking with our feet shod the preparation of the gospel of peace among our citizens. We're gonna make sure we carry us a peace so we can protect our peace as it pertains to our family. So that's what's taking place here in Mississippi. And we're calling every Black, brown, African-American family to go. If your child is at the age of 21, your son and your daughter, they meet the qualifications, by all means. Because I'm telling you right now, the pawn shops are selling out guns. It's just that serious. So in about 2 months from now, all of you that watch this video, when you come to Mississippi, don't be surprised if you see a couple with the husband with the gun on the hip, the wife with the gun on the hip, the 21 and 22-year-old with guns on the hip. It's just that serious now. We're not playing no games. And we're calling it, as it has been declared, Operation No Way. Because there would be no way for what happened to Nolan Xavier Wells to happen again. We're not allowing it. So God bless you and keep you. Have a great day. In case you
Man, I got a feeling they more serious down there than we are down here. I just gotta say, I like the fact that they even doing that, man. That's what's needed. I saw some more shit in Detroit where they every week, man, they so-called gang infested communities, they're walking through those with like hundreds of people. So if any gang activity, none of that happening, and it's funny to me that, this shit could actually be done here in LA, provided that you had brothers serious enough, sisters serious enough, mothers and fathers, grandparents serious enough to do that straight up, make your presence known, man. Look, in order for us to get together, what we need to get together, it's a whole lot of shit we're going to have to do. And until then, we're going to still be sitting up talking about it, man. No solutions whatsoever to deal with these problems we see taking place in our community every day. Again, all this shit is attached from the time that sister got to talking about our women. And I have to add to a great extent also our men assist the government in this shit that we find, taking place in our community. They're in cahoots. A lot of our people is with, hey, let's just call it what it is. I was one of them individuals when I was in the streets. I was playing my role too. I was, I was doing police shit. You know what I mean? I'm shooting at people, just, doing shit we know the police do to us in the street. So I'm part of that. But our sisters, man, are in a way or in a state where, man, they don't seem to give a about nothing. And you see that reflected in the children. You do. And again, that ain't all their fault, because a lot of brothers who have a responsibility or an obligation to take care, they find excuses as to why they're not there or why they're not involved in the life of that child, So it go both ways. But because the child is with the mother more than the man, then we have this situation where, all this is going on. We're dealing with a situation where we can get our money and actually do what the hell we want to do with our money, rather than go take it and spend it with people in different communities who give a flying flick about any of us. We can circulate our dollars in our own community and save at the same time. See, a lot of what we buy are just wants or just advertisements thrown at us because, our minds have been weakened to such a degree where mostly everything we see, we want. And it could be some of the dumbest shit, right? Serves no purpose whatsoever, but we'll buy it. We'll go buy it. And we ain't got the money right now. For that day over, that week is over, we got the money for that thing. You know what I mean? And it serves no purpose. After the first use, in a lot of respects, people discard shit. You know what I mean? So yeah, we save money also in the process. It's like we're not willing to do that. Stay on code. We're not willing to say, okay, man, we know for a fact this demographic or ethnicity treats our people a certain way. So you know what? I'm gonna stick to my gun. I'm not gonna do no business with them. In fact, what I'm gonna do is take my money to a black business and help them to grow. We can't even do that, man. The first time when you fat motherfuckers get hungry, you want some Chinese food or something. That shit don't even fill you up, man. That's why we always eating 3-4 times a day fast foods and shit. That shit ain't nothing but grease, man. A lot of old chemicals and shit, right? And I'm not gonna apologize now. I said what I said, but this is part of the problem. A lot of you women, you go and get your nails and your feet done, your house is looking like pigsties. Your life is in shambles, but your nails look good. You got these fans on your eyes and shit, man. You got these wigs on your head that stink because they sweat too much, but can't nobody tell y'all nothing. Can't say, hey, man, that shit ain't cool. Brother can't even say, hey, how you doing? Don't you know if you didn't have you a beautiful black woman, the first thing you think, and he trying to hit on you now, okay, how much money you got? You know, this shit is whack, man. This shit is crazy. And you can't deny it. This is how it is. You know, brothers to the point now they don't even like dealing with sisters no more. And then your sisters get mad when you see a brother going out the race. You know, like, oh, look at this disrespect. But it's no big thing when y'all, you know, you set up tricks, dates, or whatever with these other races. You know, oh, I got me a bag out of that. I got me a Louis. I got me a Gucci jacket, whatever the hell they shit y'all wearing now. Or he got my nails done. He got me, getting tossed up, disrespected. New whore class, and that shit is sad, man. That sisters are stupid to this level. Don't give a flying flick about your natural beauty no more. Don't even care, in terms of who you are, where you from, what you're about, what you should be about. It's more like, okay, who can I impress with, how stupid I look. Crazy shit, man. Crazy shit going on. We're in a situation where a lot of brothers don't even know, yeah, man, we at fucking war. We see it every day on social media. Brothers will let other demographics attack our people, and instead of helping, especially a sister, especially a child, they'll pull out their phones and record it. They'll record it before they provide any support, assistance, or help. These grown-ass, badass mom, they'll record it. We see it all the time. They get pushed upon. I saw some rapper dude, I don't know, I guess he was downtown LA the other day. And some little Mexican dude standing on the bus stop, like he twisting a blunt. Dude said, "What's good?" to him. Mexican said, "What's good?" and start pressing him. Now the dude got his little camera and people with him and shit. He punked him. He get a block away. Say, "I don't know what you think he was pressing." Yeah, he's a mark, man. He got marked out. Let that have been a brother. He'd have told the cameraman, "You keep recording." They would have been fighting in the street. That's how messed up shit is, man. But we're in a situation where we don't even realize that war is being waged against us, and we ain't dealing with it correctly. We're quick to do this to one another, but when we know for a fact someone else is doing this to us, we ain't got no energy for that. We ain't got no pushback for that, man. Watch another clip today, man. Two look like Mexican police beating up two sisters. One brother go to help. He get dropped. All right, get up. It's on. Got four brothers no more than 6 feet away just watching. And they slamming these sisters. Just violating them. And I thought, damn, but they would probably stand there and do that if that was their mama, their daughter, or their sister. They would stand there and not do anything. Damn. That's how bad it is. But let a brother say to your sister, your mother, your daughter, "Oh, you a witch, you a hoe, you this, you that," and it could be true, and you ready to die or kill. These same people who have these badges of authority, that's the same shit they saying anyway. A witch, a whore, a tramp, a nothing ass ninja. I would stand there and watch. Some cold shit, man. Cold shit. We got all kind of foul, funny shit going on. We got brothers, man, with podcasts, and they telling more than the police. They solving cases. They're solving police cases rather than solving the problems in the community. It's some funny shit, man. That's funny shit to me. It shows you how far we've fallen from grace. These cats on social media solving police investigations, but will not solve the issues, the current state of affairs in our communities. Don't have any solutions or any ideas, but they help the police. I'm just saying. I'm just saying, man. You know, that's how bad it is, you know. But we got some of us, men, are saying, hey, brothers in Mississippi said, all right, enough's enough. Sometimes that's all it takes. You know, sometimes that's all it takes. It just ain't, y'all don't know. It ain't happened here yet. Maybe, yeah. You know, LA, you know, the police is known for shooting, killing somebody every day in LA. Unarmed people. Some may be armed. I don't know. Some may have had a gun planted on them. Who knows? But every day, ain't nobody decided to do nothing. Ain't nobody organized. Ain't nobody said, all right, you know what, man, let's get this shit together. So, you know, I'm putting energy in the atmosphere for them brothers in Mississippi, because I would like to see, hey, man, see that inspire a lot of us to do something about what's going on. Come together, let's make some shit happen. You know, I just think that's needed. I just think that's needed. That's it. You know, we either gonna fight or we're gonna perish. Or we either gonna fight or they're gonna keep telling us wait another 100 years. It's gonna get better. We're doing good. Hey, there are changes, right? You know there are changes. You see them every day. It's getting better. Ain't you happy? You know. Or you gonna have that, you know what, man? Fuck this. Not only are we gonna do this, but to protect our children, you know, our women and our babies, each other. But you know what? We gonna do this also, let y'all know, man, we tired of playing games. Sometimes shit like that actually work. You know, either we gonna be on cold and not spend our money with people who don't give a flying flick about us, who sell us subpar shit, foods and shit, items, products. You know, either we're gonna stay on cold and pivot from one to the next to where they're all getting the same treatment from us. And again, it ain't racial. Just looking out for the people. But they all feel it. You know, until we do that the way that's supposed to be done, we ain't doing nothing, man, special. Again, as long as our sisters keep going in these nail shops, these beauty supply places, these hair buying these wigs and shit, these weed, whatever the hell they do nowadays, you know, we ain't doing nothing. We ain't really doing nothing. I'm just saying. We're going to really do something, then we need to really do something. Be on cold. All right, let's jump up in here, man. All right. All right, Rock Cool Food said, man, Marcus Garvey never started Pan-Africanism. W.E. Du Bois did, sir. All right, CEO said, man, the CIA was trying to stop Pan-Africanism and still is trying to stop Pan-Africanism. No doubt about that. But again, you know, I don't know. I think this is all smoke and mirrors, man. You know, a lot of this shit that we partake in is their shit. You know, I mean, a great deal of it is their shit. You know, we start calling ourselves African Americans. They say, oh, Jesse Jackson coined that phrase. Where he get from? You know, and hey, man, Jesse was just like Al Sharpton. He's all crooked and working in cahoots with them people. You know, and you know, wasn't never no leader of mine. Wasn't ever a leader of mine. You know what I mean? Even when I was old enough to understand, you know, politics. I didn't, you know, anyway, yeah, shit. W.E.D. Du Bois also, a whole lot about him and how he practiced classism. You know, it's a whole lot, man. Oh, bougie motherfucker. You know, And I'm telling y'all, that's part of the problem. You know, people telling us shit, and then as a result of what they telling us, we go and we put into practice what's told to us, not realizing, or maybe we do, that we're just dividing ourselves. We're allowing ourselves to be divided based upon what another group or demographic is telling us in terms of empowerment. You know what I mean? Rising up, you know, starting to ascend, you know, becoming not just politically collected, but economically collected and viable. Shit like that, man. There's a whole lot at play. I'm just saying, you know. But anyway, the CIA was trying to stop Pan-Africanism and still is trying to stop Pan-Africanism. They want to stop global black unity. No doubt about that. All right, I agree. The next target, or we all should know this right now, especially in Africa, is Ibrahim Traore, right? Goita and Tchani. That's Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger, right? You can, let's say, just hypothetically, because we don't want this to occur. You can knock down one of them, but you still got two more, and the movement has already started. You know, but you would have to, they would have to knock down all three in order to stop that movement, because that movement is significant in that it is empowering the people, especially in that region. And what they're hoping is that they can slow that shit down before it spreads out further, because the more it spreads out, then that means the more of a threat the African continent becomes to their well-being. You know what I mean? Their bottom line, you know, their access to resources and shit that their own countries don't provide, right? But not only that, the fact of the matter is that it would spread beyond Africa. It would spread to Australia. It would spread to South America. It would spread, you know, to all the islands, you know what I mean, Caribbean. It would spread to the United States. That's a problem, you know? So, yeah, they're working on keeping us divided. No doubt about it, man. No doubt about it. It makes you wonder about what's happening in South Africa, why these brothers is tripping about other brothers. You know what I mean? And you kind of get it, but at the same time, you don't, because if you have any understanding of how they went in and they partitioned this continent off to serve each Western power, you know, then you get to understand how the people have been separated, you know, even though there were tribes and different whatever. So what? But there weren't borders and shit like that. Now in Africa, man, Africans in Africa need passports to go to African countries in Africa. What? That may also be true in South America. I'm not absolutely sure. But one thing I'm sure of, they don't have to do that in Europe. You need passports. Some African countries are doing away with that. And that's something that's pissing off the United States and the EU. Like, what do you mean they don't need passports to travel from one African country? What are you talking? You know, they got an issue with that. Because see, that helps keep that divide and order protocol in place. If you remove that and Africans begin to move freely, then what's the problem? You know, those Africans who know that they're indigenous from that part of Africa, come on, man, what's the argument? You know, it's what we say about so-called black Africans or black Americans here, or FBA, and then those who are tethers, or we should know who we are. If reparations is the reason why we try to differentiate, well, I'm a fundamental black African. How the hell would that interfere with your reparations? Why is that an issue? If reparations became a reality, then hey man, trust it. No, there's no way a tether, somebody that's not indigenous to this country, that wasn't here, family was not here by 1865, or even a little bit after that. What the hell? What's the problem? They can't interfere with none. What's the problem, man? See, again, we've been trained to trip on each other. And for the most part, we're tripping on each other or one another over stuff, over things, money. Nothing real, man. Nothing concrete. Nothing that, actually enhances you, the person, or your family. No, not for real, you know. We tripping on one another over status. The fuck? Crazy shit. That we would trip on one another about status. Man, mother, boy, we all ninjas to them. They don't give a damn about what we perceive as status against another brother or sister. The hell y'all think they care about any of that? Oh, they'll use it against you so that you can use it against each other. Man, anybody from the islands, anybody out of South America, melanated now, for the most part, don't care where, man. You still a ninja. Even when you got money, you still a ninja. They don't care about status, man. They give it to some of you. They give it to you so you can do their bidding. They don't care about that. They made us care about that. And it really has no bearing, man. Straight up. Just think about that. Any FBA or Black American that's been here generations after the fact, before the fact and after, man, that been here and can show it for 10 generations. Better, come on, man. So what they over here? So what? That shit don't make no sense. If it come to reparations, they gonna know every black ass person is gonna get that money. Know that. In fact, some of us who might think we've been here, you might not, yay. You know? Might have migrated over here from Jamaica back in the day, in the 20s and 30s. You know? Thinking, hey, okay, we good. We good. We got the 80, 90 years here. Nah, man. That shit documented, trust. So why we worry about that? Status. Reparations became a real thing, man. They know exactly who the hell gonna get some money and who ain't. I'm just saying, dog. But we tend to trip on each other over things like that, over stuff. We tend to work against one another over that type of shit rather than working with one another to acquire that type of shit, to help each other. That's our problem. We're in this status war with each other. Whose chain got the most diamond chips in it? Whose shit is the heaviest? Whose medallion, man, is more parlayed? You know what I'm saying? Who got the new Bentley? Who got the whatever, right? Right? Who got the most money? Ain't doing shit with it. Right? Come on, man. Status. They got us competing with each other rather than with the system or against the system. That's the problem. And we don't get that shit. We'll get on social media in a minute and we'll compete with one another for all the wrong reasons. And again, no one owns anything. No one owns anything, man. Trust. You can be a build. Listen, man. Our brothers and sisters know who got buku dollars. They don't run nothing. They don't own nothing. All that shit that they've fronting and showing, and that's all alone. That's all alone. Because anytime any one of them does or says anything against the script, against how they were let through the door, that shit will evaporate quick. And again, like we've said here, one or two things may happen, maybe three. They'll take every dime, lock your ass up, and get rid of you. Nobody don't own shit, man. Own shit. That's why they always good. They good girls and boys. Never have nothing to say about a system they know is against their people. They're good boys and girls. They want to keep the stuff that they're lending them. They want to stay in this, this ideal of luxury, of inclusion. That's it. That's all that is, man. But we tend to compete for that same role they're playing because it looks glamorous. It looks like they got everything. And the fact of the matter is they'll have nothing the first time they open their mouth about what their people are going through in this country. They'll lose it all. And they know this. So that's what that is, man. Straight up. Rakufu said, man, Henry Silver Williams, a Trinidadian lawyer, organized the first Pan-African conference in London. Yeah, I read that. W.E.B. Du Bois became one of the movement's most influential voices. Marcus Garvey popularized Pan-Africanism amongst millions through the Universal Negro Improvement Association. That was the UNIA. Marcus Garvey did do that. And then, what's so funny, I don't mean that literally funny, but Marcus, he come from where he came and pushed a cold line. It was about the people. Didn't give a damn, man. Wasn't no status. Wasn't having none of that, man. It was about being respected and dignified and understanding that, hey, but knowing, hey, man, this ain't no good over here. We got to go. Y'all with it or not? When got that big old thing, man, hey, and when they saw he was serious, that means, see, now, anytime you want to remove some people from a system, that means you bucking against the system. It's going to be a problem. It's going to be a problem anytime. Most of our leaders, if we think about this, who have been assassinated, who have been destroyed or incarcerated, it evolved around the fact of the matter that they were leading the people away from the system. Think about it. They were speaking against the system. That's a loss the system can't take. They ain't trying to lose nothing. They're not trying to lose shit, And if you're trying to take something from them, if you ain't really prepared, you're going to see. You're going to see. And just tonight, just a thought I just had. Look at Haiti, man. Look what Haiti accomplished. And look at what happened as a result of that. This is how we know they all work together. This is how they know. This is how we know they all see us as one thing only. It's a bunch of ninjas. Even when we're superior, their hatred and animosity based upon that superiority, man, becomes this thing, this man, they can't let go of. Haiti did that a long time ago against the best army and general on the face of the earth. And still, Haiti is being made to suffer. And ain't nobody saying shit. We don't even know how to get together, man, and take it. Come on, man. Haiti represented the people when nobody else would, Think about that shit. African nations are scared to help Haiti because of sanctions and bans and tariffs and shit that'll be, they'll be slapped with. You know what I mean? Like, oh no, no. A lot of these leaders are thinking about their own pockets. But they ain't doing shit for the people. Except for those I named a little while ago. We know for a fact they're working for the people. Damn what anybody's telling us, just all we got to do is look long enough, we see it. But, just again, this is what we see, even in the United States. When we have people pushing for the people, man, sometimes, man, motherfuckers just watch. It won't help. We have brothers trying to defend sisters. We have more brothers that stand and watch and record rather than help. When sisters try to lay sisters on being women, Beautiful black women respecting their natural beauty and their health and shit like that. The fact that they, they proliferate fucking earth, man. They're creators. Man, they were, man, look, man, it's all about destroy. Then you can't tell them shit without you being destroyed. They become Karens, I'm just saying. Everything, man, that we are faced with, man, we are faced with because we haven't decided that, okay, man, we are in a war. We haven't given in to that reality. We tend to want to be caught up in this shit. And it's all an illusion. That's the coldest part about it. That's the matrix aspect of it. It's all an illusion, man. None of it is permanent for any of us. And if any of us get anything out of it, it's just a loan. It still isn't yours. I don't care what we talking about, man. If it's even land. See, because if we ain't go get that land as a group, as a unit, all right, as a nation, man, they say take land from each and every one of us how they see fit. Truth, man. Truth. You ain't think I'm lying? Look it up. We ain't go get that as a nation. Shit, I don't care how many acres you got. They got a playbook to take every one. They got a playbook to run a road through it that leads to nowhere. You can't do shit. Put a landing strip on it and say it's for agricultural reasons. Right? Smack dab the middle of every bit of your acreage. Don't run nothing, man. I'm just saying. Just think about it. If I'm wrong, let me know. I'm just saying. And did that go for a whole lot of shit, man? When they get to talking about certain trust, all this shit, man. If we're not doing this shit as a unit, as a nation, man, look here, man. They got legal. They have legalese, man, where they can go and look for as long as they need to find that loophole, to bust your trust wide open. Load your trust, any of that shit don't matter, man. I'm just saying. Until we realize, man, that we are at war and we need to be going at this war as a unit, as a nation, they're going to continue to run roughshod over us, man. That's a fact. Until we decide, man, okay, it's time to get our shit together. Our sisters represent themselves like goddesses, and a part of that is through the representing, expressing their natural beauty. You know what I mean? Walking, carrying themselves, speaking. The whole continence of them is about dignity and respect. If they ain't on that, homie, we in trouble. So I go for brothers. If that continence, if you don't carry yourself in such a way where you exude strength, warriorism, a warrior's mindset, and get out, man, shit, they gonna try us every time. Facts. I just saw a gang of white YT people walking through, I think it was a black neighborhood with fatigues on. This wasn't the Patriot Front or whoever the hell they call themselves. Wasn't the Proud Boys. This was another group. They all had backpacks on, camouflage, pants and the olive green t-shirts. First I thought it was the military. I said, nah, not the way they walking. But it's the military. You know what I mean? That's what they own. While we own this bullshit we own. They're preparing. In fact, I think that's an understatement. They are engaging. You know what I mean? Well, we still on stupid shit. We still talking about stuff and status. They're talking about, longevity, survival, crushing their enemy, enslaving them again, all kind of old shit they say. But, we not on that, bro. We on so-and-so, man, just got a brand new whoop-de-whoop-whoop-whoop. You know, oh, that watch was fat. I'm gonna spend for $5 million. Serious, man. Somebody need to cut his damn hand off. You know, I'm just saying. All right, probably said enough. But anyway, CEO said, man, the powers that shouldn't be do not want us as global blacks trading and engaging in commerce with those resources because we would control the global economy. We had this conversation maybe a week or so ago. We were talking about, all right, this thing where we self-segregate. And somebody, I was telling you guys, somebody in the comments was like, oh man, you sound stupid. How the hell are we gonna do that? And I knew it was obvious, okay, this cat didn't understand what's needed and how it could be done. But you know, in fact, doing it, you have to be prepared that they're gonna find a way to throw a wrench into the works. But nevertheless, the whole objective is, you know, hey, we do business with our people. If we get it in the mindsets of our people here today that we're not doing business with nobody but our people, we're going to circulate our dollars, then that should also transcend or move over, you know, spill over to our brothers across the water or anywhere they are. You know, that's how we establish business. It's commerce, you know what I mean? Now, unless the government want to pass a law saying, oh, you blacks can't do that, until then, shit, by all rights, you can do it. You might get taxed more. Imagine that, right? Trump is going to hit you with some tariffs. You know, oh, we have fine companies here, and you know, the blacks, they can get it here, but since they don't want to, you know, we're going to charge them 25% more in tariff. You know, that's some shit he would do. Let's be realistic. That's the exact thing he would do. However, though, the commerce between brothers exists. Our people, sisters exist. Again, we have to get out of this state of convenience where everything is convenient for us and is made that way so that we be lazy, so that we won't support those who might be a mile away, 100 miles away, a sea away. You know what I mean? An ocean, a state. We mail order with Amazon all day, every day, Temu, all them bastards, but we won't do it with our own people. Something wrong, man. Something's wrong with our people, man. We'll give Jeff Bezos, y'all better wake up, man. What's happening with these dudes, man? These are oligarchs, man. They here to run the world, how they see fit. But we'll give Jeff Bezos, who we know is working against the black community, our money. We'll give it to Amazon, or we'll give it to Temu. We won't take the time to look and research who got that same product in the black community. We won't research that. That's too time consuming. It's too inconvenient. That's a problem, man. Just saying. So yeah, man, your CEO said, man, the powers that shouldn't be do not want us as global blacks trading and engaging in commerce with those resources because we would control the global economy. Listen, y'all, we already tinkering, toying with over $2 trillion a year on shit we don't really need, man, right? I mean, there's a leverage. Think about it. That's the damn leverage, man. And we ain't even got to use it as bargaining chips or tools, negotiating. We ain't got to do none of that. We just take the money and do what we say we're going to do with it. Empower our people. Do that wealth transfer, that group economics. Boom. Do you know that 2-point-something trillion will grow? It would actually grow. But it would grow for our people. It would be helpful to us, you know? So again, man, that's some phenomenal shit if you think about it. But we got to be willing to do that, you know? And the only way to do that is to understand first and foremost, man, we are in a war. Economic, political, social, racial, you know, you name it, educational. We in that war. Straight up. Appreciate that, bro. Rakufu said, man, did Marcus Garvey ever participate in Pan-Africanism? I think he did. I'm not quite sure, but I think he did, bro. You're going to say yes, but not as a leader of W.E. Du Bois's Pan-African Congress movement. Okay, well, I agree with you that there. CO said, man, there's nothing wrong with Pan-Africanism. White people participate in Pan-Europeanism, which they call the European Union, all right, the EU. So, you know, the Arabs practice it, Pan-Arabianism. Arabianism. We're the only ones who look at global black unity as a sin. Again, though, that's learned behavior. These are thought processes that have been implanted in our brains, man, by people who want us to act the way we act, to see the thing or see things the way we see them, to see ourselves against one another. No support, you know what I mean? No help, you know, no unity. Yeah. Henry Sadello said, man, Bub, I talked to Jimmy Lavender. He said he would come on your podcast. I didn't know that his new Sister Soldier, I didn't know that he knew Sister Soldier until he told me the other day. We already talked about JL coming, right? You're gonna have to get my phone number and let's see what we can make of this. You know what I mean? That'd be good. That'd be good. That'd be good. And I'm just saying that would be good. Imagine Sister Soldier and all her wisdom. Whoa, right? Now there's, you know, Yacinda's a great advocate for blackness and unity, you know, things of that nature for the podcast. And I'm saying Sister Soldier would be as well. Imagine that, man, getting our sisters to come up and then really start speaking to the issues about our sisters. I'm not against it. You should have my phone number, Henry. I've always put it in the get down. You know what I mean? You text me first. Matter of fact, my email to the podcast, I'll put it in the get down, bro. Email me your number, and I'll go in there. Boom, boom, boom. You know, I got what Fat Rat sent me the other day. I read that, and that's something that, yeah, man. See shit like that. See, you know, you be a whole lot of pushback on those type of things because see, brothers don't want structure, don't want to be disciplined, don't want integrity. You know what I mean? And this is why a lot of us say in the RGC, hey man, you know, for real, our first issue, our real issue first would be with our people because there's a disconnect with our people. You know, so trying to get the people to connect with is going to would present issues, but like that. But Henry, I'm gonna put it in there. Matter of fact, let me do it now. That way, it's there, bro. Make sure it's right. I'll be fucking up sometimes. All right. I put it in the get out right there, Henry. If you get time or you remember, you know what I mean? Send me your phone number. And that way you'll have mine and we can always communicate. All right. Appreciate that though. Again, you said, brother Bub, I talked to Jimmy Lavender. He said he would come on your podcast. I didn't know that he knew Sister Soldier until he told me the other day. All right. CO say, man, we see all of it as we should, bro. You going to say, CO, man, men can't help that these women only want hood ninjas. And there's some truth to that. And there's a reason for that as well. You know, they want that type of get down mentality that they represent, that they own, that time, that energy. You know what I mean? They don't want a brother to come and say, man, this is some bullshit. And let me tell you something, man. Let me just say this for the sake of saying it, because I think there's validity in this. You can be a hood brother, a set brother, grew up in the community brother. That don't mean, man, that you just all messed up like some of us or some of them are. You know what I'm saying? It's your community, man. It's the circumstances in the community doesn't always necessarily have to affect the brothers who live in it. You know, so they could just be just as street as neck, but they're not involved in that street shit. You know, these brothers are awake. They're not just conscious, they have a conscience. They know, they see, you know, they're exercising intelligence as well as wisdom. Man, you know, but yet them type of brothers that may be in the community are avoided by sisters because, again, they've taken some liking to this behavior. A lot of sisters, as well as our brothers. Yeah, so I don't disagree with you. A lot of them women only want that because, again, it mirrors them. They ain't got to worry about a brother saying, hey, I don't like this shit, man. I don't like, they going to love that raunchy shit, that whore type, you know what I mean? The brother, acting like, an idiot, an asshole. Everything is gang this, gang that, pants hanging off his ass, sipping on syrup, popping pills, still a mama's boy, So yeah, them sisters need them types. Them brothers need them type of sisters. You know what I'm saying? So I hear you there, bro. But let's just keep in mind, every brother in the hood, on the set, on the block, ain't that dude though like that, I'm quite sure of that, bro. I'm quite sure of that. Queen Nzinga said, man, I don't think that to be true because the algorithm highlight those types of posts. It tricks our brains into thinking everyone is saying this shit. You're going to say, Queen Nzinga, social media is not a reliable measure of what most Black women think or do. Millions of Black women are raising families, running businesses, leading organizations, serving communities, and contributing in countless positive ways that receive less attention than controversy. Okay. I would agree. And yet, the fact still remains that there are those on the opposite side of the coin. And they are those who seem to be, that's what the algorithm prefer or would rather have out there in social media. So let me tell you though, now I think there are more than one type that we see on social media. We have this, what they call wretched, sister, just bad, just the sexy red, and the BS, man, the BS, and then you have the baddies who with the BS, and they helping to propagate the bullshit, in a lot of respects. Then you even have the corporate. And I have to say, when it comes to them, they're more damaging than some of the ones who are beneath them. Because, see, now the corporate has a certain standard that is really unrealistic. Now, that's not all of them, because some of them, are wives, are mothers, are contributors to the community, the welfare of the people, love and respect for the people, no doubt. But then just be real. We do have those who say, hey, man, this is what I do every day. And if a Black man, well, now they're saying any man, but it used to be, well, if a Black man ain't making six figures, they can get the time of day from me. Right? He's belittled. He's disrespected. In fact, in her eyes, he's not a man. He's not a man, and I think that's part of the problem. So, you may have those type of women who are raising families. You may have, I'm just saying, man, in spite of what category we put women and or men in, there's always somebody in that category that fits the bill, as well as those in that same category who fall short. Or who are a representation of what's bad about it. You know what I mean? That's just, I think that's just the way things are. You can get them you know, and they're super aggressive. They're, you know, again, that married and da 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 da. But there's a whole lot of other shit going on. You know what I mean? I'm just saying it's just always something. And that is as a result of how the system is rigged in such a way, is designed in such a way to always keep us at each other, where there's very little harmony, if any at all. It's always going to be something, an issue. Always. You know? And again, that's not to say all relationships are bad. I don't think so. You know? But that is to say that there are challenges always, and not just in terms of the relationship, but in terms of the individuals, you know, the people in the relationship. You know, there's always something to knock them off kilter, off balance, to create dissension or disagreement, whatever, you know. So yeah, I mean, yeah, there are millions of black women that way, as well as there are millions of black women that way, and the opposite way, and that way too. You know what I mean? I wouldn't take that from them sisters that put in that work, who mean what they say and say what they mean. You know, I'm speaking to them, those that we see, and it ain't that are part of the problem, and it ain't just the raunchy ones. You see them on social media as well. You know, those that, you know, they play games. Yeah, you know, come on, you know. All right, but appreciate that comment, Queen Nzinga. Alonzo Johnson say, man, I agree with you, Queen Nzinga. I don't believe that they're trying to brainwash people. Okay. Did I read that right? Did she say that? Queen Nzinga say, I don't think that to be true, because the algorithm highlight these types of posts. It tricks our brain into thinking everyone is saying this shit. Well, tricking the brain still is, you know, you're fooling the brain. Your brain, while you're clouding it, its judgment, its ability to function properly. You know, Alonzo, you know, you're going to say social media is not a reliable measure of what most black women think or do. That's right. I don't disagree with that. But social media is out there in such a way to where it is giving. We see this behavior more and more now. We don't have to watch social media to see it occurring, even with families, and you know, who seem to be stable, you know, with sisters seem to have it together. We see shit occurring. We hear it from other people in the families, people that know people. You know what I mean? It actually exists, you know. But social media, I think its function is there to disseminate. Its algorithm exists to disseminate negativity, you know, that would sooner rather than later spill over into those categories in our society, in our community, that are handling their business. You know what I mean? It's a war, regardless how we look at it. You know, and you know, maybe that makes sense to some of you, maybe it don't. But even those who are stable, even those who are in this fight, or you know, not necessarily in the fight, but are doing everything the way they're supposed to be doing, have to realize that at some point, even that front, the front that they're putting out their on, will be attacked. Just the way it is. That's war for you, you know. All right, Pope, good to see you up in here, man. Wait a minute, did I read that though, Lonzo? Okay, Lonzo said, man, I agree with Queen Nzinga. I agree with you, Queen Nzinga. I don't believe that they trying to brainwash people. Replay, say it over and over, make it look like that's what most are doing. Well, if that ain't brainwashing you, then that's, you know, I don't know. You know, and they brainwash people, you know, especially, you know, sit you in the chair, strap you in the chair, had them little things on your eyelids, they keep flashing this bullshit on you. Before you know it, that's what it is. You know, that's how you're acting. If I continue to see this shit more and more every day, all the time, that's brainwashing. You know? And then they got it. in the algorithm so much. You have different variations of it, but it's all the same shit. I don't know. Poke said, man, what it do, Poke? What it do, bub? I'm doing overtime and just tuned in. Chinese food don't get you full, man. It's a bunch of grease. Get them. UTG and, of course, RGC. Blessing you, all my black people. Good to see you, Poke, man. May everything be everything with you and the fam, bro. Send mine to Bo Peep, man. I might just send him a text, see how you doing, bro. Good to see you up in here, though. You go on to say, man, we can't be stupid and think that the mob only influenced blacks. The other races got people all over police, politicians, doctors, lawyers, etc. And they're going to help their own get by. You never lie. Okay. What it do, Fat Rat? All right, peace to you and RGC Big Bub in class on Mondays, man. Good to have you, Teach. What it do, man? Peace and prosperity, bro. CEO said, man, now in South Africa, the Zulus have switched the narrative from African foreigners to now going against the other native tribes of South Africa. They're saying they need to also be unalived if they aren't Zulu. So I remember, man, back in the 80s, man, we were doing our studies in prison, you know, and Nkatha, the Zulu, ANC, you know, man, they had serious issues, you know. They would, you know, and I used to be sitting in that cell like, damn, why they tripping? Why Winnie and them got these issues, you know, with all these other black, you know, organizations and groups? What's going on? You know, and at that time, you still had apartheid. And one of the loved ones I expressed and explained to me, hey, man, it's the system at play. This is how the system need them to conduct themselves, you know. And by way, nothing gets done. Nothing gets done, man, that's going to be beneficial to any of them. And I understood that then. So what we see is the same play, man, not the same playbook. Who's pushing this shit? What leaders are in charge, man? If people had any sense, you know, come on, man, for real. Now you didn't revert it back to the tribal shit that took place in South Africa. That's crazy, man. I don't know. CEO, man, he goes on to say FBA is a psyop. Hey, man, I'm gonna just say it like this, man. I just think, man, we're black here in America, man. Now, a lot of us got, you know, all this other stuff. And CEO, you just coming back, but we've been saying this for months now. Well, at least I know I have. I said, man, when I first started getting wind of this FBA and who's pushing it and all that, I said, man, this, you know, I'm not cool with it because this is more of the same. This is divide and conquer. It's divide and conquer. And we saw for a minute now, FBA, if you wasn't pushing, speaking, representing FBA, then, you know, basically, you know, fuck you, you know what I mean? But I saw this as a means to continue this wedge down the middle of the people, man. And, you know, and guess who's hitting the wedge with the mallet? The people, us. I just always saw this as, you know, one of them things that creates division. And in there, we don't need that. We need to be on one page. Hey, man, we black, man. All right? Just say, man, if you know you're black, your people been here since the time of so-called chattel slavery, man, and after, right after, come on, man. What do we, come on, man. I was just saying, this I be, though. We got to have these, you know, labels and shit, man. Create more problems. FBA is a psyop, man. is to push division and a right-wing agenda for white supremacy. I'm telling y'all, man, this shit is crazy. You know, and I'm not gonna attack nobody in terms of who supported and who don't. In terms of what they were doing before they start doing it or not. That you know, I'm not tripping, bro. You know what I mean? Because we all have a past. You know what I mean? We do. We all have a story to tell, man. And some of these stories, man, aren't dignified. You know what I mean? They aren't honorable. You know, they were the opposite of everything they should be in real life, right? You know. So I'm saying that to say, for those that we know at the forefront of FBA, man, more power to you, man. But listen, that shit, to me, it's like religion. The different religions and how they divide. That's how I see that shit, you know, honestly. And I'll say FBA, you know, just like I'll say Christian or Muslim, you know, Judean, you know, Judaism, you know, just be fair. But one thing I do recognize is that it creates division. And all this shit is a play, man, to do just that, to divide and conquer. That's in my opinion, all right? I'm going to leave that alone. But man, thank you for that, CEO. He say, man, it's to push division and a right-wing agenda for white supremacy. All right? There you go. All right, Lasike, good to see you up in here. Lasike, the Shamatic Collection 2694 is in the house. One of our Queen sisters. Good to see you up in here, sister. And I'll salute you right back, Warrior Queen. I will. All right. Folks said, man, we tripping over one another because our real support for one another is allergic towards our truths. Okay, so we got at Pomona SSW SMC 2421. Let's see what you say. You brothers and sisters, just don't crowdfund businesses from all our respective communities to Africa and back. From Africa and back to help not only ourselves but everyone in a non-prejudice. Okay, I'm gonna get the gist of that. Is there more? No. Okay. I'm gonna read that again because you know I butchered it and I apologize for that, brother. Pomona, he said, man, why brothers and sisters just don't crowdfund businesses from all our respective countries to Africa and back to help not only ourselves but everyone in a non-prejudice. I get what you're saying. Yeah, and that would be a way to bring money together to do something with it, you know, crowdfunded for a purpose or reason, you know, and especially to businesses from all over, you know, the diaspora where we are. I get that. All right. Somebody has an idea similar to that. I think it's my brother-in-law. And we haven't gone in depth in it, but it's similar to what you're saying. It's very similar to what you're saying. Why brothers and sisters don't crowdfund businesses from all our respective countries to Africa and back to help not only ourselves, but everyone in a non-prejudice way. I get what you're saying. We build the businesses, all right, dealing with the businesses all over, wherever we are. All right. And I tell you that would be, like I say, if you got Amazon, you got Temu, you got all these, you know, eBay, whatever. You have black businesses all over the world. You know, you may have to, you know, why not? You know, why not do businesses with those brothers and sisters, man? You know, now crowdfunding is something I think should be done on the look for something that's really, you know, important. You know, I don't know, man, but all this is viable. All this shit can be worked out to where we start making the right moves. North Brown Media, right back. Salute to you 3 times, brother. Good to see you up in here. Please like, share, follow, comment, and subscribe, y'all. This is Undergroove Podcast, y'all. We're touching bases with the people. This where everything is everything, and B1 equals black first. That's it. That's all, man. That's our mantra. That's what we agree upon here in the Royal Group Congregation, the RGC. Black first, man. That's all that matters, man, to us. You know, I mean, there are other issues, other concerns, you know, other things, priorities that matter, no doubt. But black first up in this get out. You know, this is where it counts at, man. You know, we're not tripping nothing else. And there's some of everybody up in here. Trust and know that. Some of everybody up in this thing, man. Got to know that. All right? From some everywhere, you know, every faith, you know, I think, you know, those that concern us, melanated, yeah. So, grip, blood, non-affiliate, you know, husband, wife, son, daughter, you know, entrepreneurs, man, you know, laborers, workers, you know, shit, the unemployed, self-employed, you know, all that shit. But this is where we come together, y'all, you know, and focus on the focus. Appreciate you up in here, though. Northbound, real spit. Uh-oh. Fat Rat say, CEO, man, what FBA are you referring to? PSYOP. CEO said, man, the Army is launching a new PSYOP in Africa called Operation Drungo Company. It's a psychological operation to push a narrative that's a pro-right-wing American concept, I guess. Yeah, you could see them in terms of, you know, these special, you know, these ops they go on, man. No doubt, man, that in SA, you know, all of them, CIA, whatever, right? They're in Africa and they're trying to figure out a way to dismantle whatever they're trying to build over there, right? America, as well as the EU or Europe. And then it's all, you know, to establish, to regain or reconstitute colonialism. I think, you know, they've lost their handle in a lot of respects over there, and they're trying to get it back to where I was saying this earlier, where they can get their hands on the resources that matter. They can give a damn about the fighting, the infighting, and the killing each other, even if it comes to genocide. We already know what they did or how they dealt with Rwanda. You know, we already see how they're dealing with Israel and Gaza or Palestine, Lebanon even, you know, so that's not a concern to them. You know, resources is what matters. But if they got that, then yeah. Oh, I don't doubt that they do. I don't doubt that they got some type of operation going on over there. All right, see you, Henry. Appreciate that you got it, bro. I'm going to check it out and give you a call. CEO going to say, okay, this is why I say this FBA thing is a psyop. People have been paid to spread division and blame black immigration or immigrants to push a white nationalist agenda. But by that, it divides us as black people as a whole. There you go, Fat Rat. Folks say, man, I got to go, man. I'm off, but I believe we will overcome. We can do anything we set our minds and souls to. Hey, man, you have a great night. Rest of your night, bro. Peace, prosperity, you and the fam. May we see you tomorrow, man, and may everything be everything, man. One love. See you later, Pope. Fat Rat say, man, a contractual offering shows us levels of commitment to get organized. All right. What company in America is successful on a non-contractual basis to effect change warrants an action plan, or we can just talk about it another 25 years. Yeah, contracts. All right, Fat Rat going to say, CEO man, copy that. I don't do FBA or Tether. I'm not there. Sam Evans, what it do, bro? You say brainwashing is a real thing, let's say, because they do it with music every day. Yeah, and that means it's a lot going on, y'all. It ain't just the shit we see. Yeah, it's also the shit we hear, you know. CEO said, man, most people, they're saying allegedly Israel is funding this division and is funding the Zulus as the top tribe in South Africa. Israel is building a city there, and divide and conquer is their thing. And they are. I saw that maybe a few months ago. They bought, man, this large swath of land in South Africa. And the only way you be able to do that, they say, is you want to do some agricultural on it. But during this process, they were also, in terms of the blueprint, the drawings of what they had in mind, had like buildings, residential, and they would say, oh, that's for those who are going to care for the land. And excuse me. And someone was saying in the comments, okay, they're saying that now, but 50 years from now, Israel will be in took over, if not all of South Africa, half of it, and you won't be able to get them out. You know, I'm trying to recall, was that South Africa? And you got to know South Africa has always been home to Israelis. They've been there a long, long time. They've been there. The Zionists. We got to be careful, be mindful of how we call people, address them. Let's say the Zionists. They have an agenda. You know, South Africa, United States, South America. You know, they're a little bit everywhere, man. Australia, Europe, of course. I wonder, do they have any in Japan and China? I wonder. Oh, snap. Hey. Oh, my God, man. Great comments tonight, everybody. I did not realize. Okay, last one. CEO said, man, this FBA thing didn't become a thing until 2019 when Ghana had the year of return. Afterwards, record levels of blacks moved back and invested. Then out of nowhere, FBA, ADOs, and indigenous, et cetera, started coming play. Yeah, I do recall the ADOS as well. We were talking about them maybe 4 months ago. I did some. In fact, I went and looked on their page, and I was like, yeah, okay, no, I'm cool, But yeah. All right, I gotta go, everybody. I have to go. I didn't know it was this late, but I appreciate each and every one of you for tapping into Under the Groove Podcast. Please, again, like, share, comment, follow, but subscribe if you haven't already done so. I appreciate you guys' presence and your energy. Y'all already know what to do. Love yourself, love one another. That's how it's really done. Take care of yourself, take care of each other. That's how it's done. Power is in the people, and that's literally and figuratively. Power is in the people. Not power to the people, but power is in the people, man. Last I checked. That being said, man, all love and respect, man, to the people. All right. Take care of each and every one of you. You are, you have been, and you will be under the groove. All right. Focus on the focus. One love, each and every one of you. Peace. Catch you on tomorrow.
Count the names, count the bodies, count the victory. Cullen Hughes, Hurston, writing future history. From the Apollo to the Borough to Theosphere. where the echo of those Harlem nights still ringing clear. So when they ask what happened in those tenement flats, between the spirituals and where consciousness is at, tell them we transform suffering to scholarship and song. Tell them we've been telling you we're brilliant all along. The Renaissance will prologue every decade since the sequel. Every black child born's continuation of the people who survived the Middle Passage, survived the Jim Crow laws, and built magnificence from nothing but their vision and their flaws. That's in the sergeant. This is once a less than actors, hats, and mistakes. Please don't you, I can't stop us. Power sensitive, watch you, the applause for polls. Need your data, tropes, and counseling. Problem when the wedges wanna build the season bait. Now don't get the pause. It's just erasing up the times. Plead the walk is off the main. Make it on the fans. Turn the neck and love the dirt. Suffers like a kesha. You been grown to preaching up on side is each alone. Bitch on the shit and untrue seeing vet someone the very inch on Gary Land. Be hell in heaven, you see what the bound of it. You wait talking for the marker, make the key to pull the club and saw the parts to the singer land is carried open slowly. Keep us looking on my mother, break your generosity more than he and let the peasant be. It's every time we keep a spawn.